Greetings, friends of the apocalypse. Welcome to Late Night with Scott and Jared. No. Welcome to Podcast at Ground Zero with Adam Bob Glancy and Jared the Apocalypse Nerd Wallace for episode 37, Wizards.
I don't know that I deserve the title Adam Bomb anymore, since you're the one who's currently holding
In possession of, well, yes, one of these things I came across. ThinkGeek has these because, you know, it's the geek culture marketing machine, you know, because that's the only thing we've won, despite despite Aaron Vanek, one of our friends, making a quote about he keeps on posting these things about geek culture and how, you know, you got the people who are grumpy about it and people who love it, and he's like, well, didn't we win? The only thing we won is they discovered how to market to us and sell us shit. And that's
yes.
That is the only reason why we fucking matter now, because they've learned to be able to sell shit to us.
That's a really good. I'm sorry, but that's a good assessment. We now rate highly enough to be sold things to. I'm gonna be a real dick and suggest that's why the Mormon Church turned around on their "No Black People Allowed" ruled. They suddenly realized, hey, wait, they have money too now. We can totally tie the shit out of them. You know, let's message from God. You are now all invited to join the church and give up your 10% of your income. Same thing with Hollywood and manufacturing.
It's, you know, and it's the popular thing to do now. It's like, you know, because what did all the cool kids do when we were in high school? I don't remember. Whatever they did, now this is the cool thing, so everybody's into it. So now all the people who worked hard at it are now marginalized again. Now, mind you, this generation growing up, it's different because they've always been around it, whereas we had a hard time. You know, to show you how much of a hard time, go to Patton Oswalt's Twitter page, look through his pictures, and there's the picture of him in his fucking D&D club when he's like 14 years old. He's got this big poofy jacket and glasses this big, and he's got this smile. He's holding his D&D book from the D&D club. That's where we came from, and that's where we can't, you know.
Those are our roots.
Never forget. They have it fucking easy now. But anyway, that has nothing to do with any of this. But anyway, so.
Well, no, except that, you know, Wizards, our subject for the day, comes from deep in our childhood.
Yes.
This one is 1977, same year as Star Wars.
Yep, right around the same
time. And there's a number of weird connections with Star Wars, and
we'll get into that. Yeah, the Mark Hamill connection. But anyway, ThinkGeek had these things. They have these sets of.
We totally got off topic from the bomb. Go to the bomb.
We got off topic by going on topic. that's unusual for us. It's these little bombs here. They're metal base, plastic top, and the top comes off because it's an ounce and a half shot glass. This is how we do shots at Ground Zero.
Very nice.
Well, they're really designed for, because they're weight on the bottom. It shows them, like, you know, I guess to do whatever those Irish car bombs where you drop the shot into a pint glass.
Oh, yeah.
They're kind of designed for that, but you know what?
So they'll sink.
It's metal. The bottom's metal. So
yeah, if it was plastic, it wouldn't. I mean, if it was glass,
yeah,
obviously it would drop to the bottom of the pint. But that's cool.
It drops down to the bottom. It was a set of 4. They had them on sale. I was buying some other things, and it's like, all right, this will get my order up. You know, it was like under $10. It was cheap. It was really cheap. So it's kind of cool. I got them on sitting on a little shelf. You know, so
good work.
Yeah,
good find.
So that's that, and then I'm going to make a cross promotion of Dagon Industries product here.
Always.
Got the new product in. Got the Jewelry of the Deep Ones pendant. Let's see if we can get the focus on that.
Not great. It's more focusing on you.
All right, hold on a second. Let me try this again.
It's still really blurry. You're much more in focus than it is.
Well, let's see if I can get it to do this. Hold on. There you go.
Oh, that's better.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now that actually works a lot better.
So there you go. Jewelry of the Deep Ones pendant, made from luscious Innsmouth gold, straight from the Marsh refinery. 1.25 inches. Just got these in. They're not up on the website yet at DagonIndustries.com, but they will be in probably about a week and a half or so, because I'm waiting for one more product coming in then I'm going to send off the whole batch to them to get them up on the website. But that'll
They
be out.
are horrible. They look indeed perfectly horrible.
And of course, done by friend of the mythos, Heather Hudson.
Yep. Go check out her website. I think was it Wonder Cabinet? Look it up.
Wonder Cabinet Studios, I believe it is.
Yes, I'm gonna look that up because I don't. We should definitely shout out to her properly. So.
Oh yeah, or just look up Heather Hudson and it'll come up immediately.
Well, good.
Now I've lost my focus here. Hold on. There you go. Yeah, so she did the artwork on that. I work with her a lot. It's a good job.
StudioWonderCabinet.com. So
Studio Wonder Cabinet. So, she did the art on that. Another good product. I'll have that stuff up soon. The only other news-ish thing I got here is for the holidays. The wife got me the new Xbox One. So I've now moved on to the next generation of consoles.
All right.
I don't know. I'll get into that another time. It's not, they've taken too much away from being a gaming console. But once you're playing the games, it's fine. And mind you.
Well, I will be following you as soon as the next Fallout game becomes available on only on Xbox One. I will be moving immediately to Xbox One. But I haven't even played Destiny, and actually Destiny's Xbox One, but I haven't played Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, no. But why I want to mention it is because she also picked me up the Metro Redux, which is they did a combo pack of both games, all the content, all the downloadable content for them, the expansion stuff, and they redid it for the Xbox One. Now, when I say they redid it, they didn't just port it over from the 360. They redid it, put it in a different engine because it looks. You've seen it on the 360, and it looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's good on the 360.
Oh my God, dude, it is amazing. It's so much more colors, better graphics, more detail. Like when you find dead bodies now, there's flies around them now, and they fly in your face. And when you get the bodies, you actually have, when you hit, you just don't search them. You actually have to, you click on them and the bodies move and fall over, and you got to search them. They've moved some stuff around, so it's like playing the game for the first time because I played it through like twice, and it's like playing through the first time again because they added other little areas, they changed some stuff around, they made it just interesting enough to where, again, somebody who's played it tweaks my interest to where I want, like, you know what, I want to play this. So, and it looks amazing. Like if you just did like a Google search for Xbox One to 360 Metro 2033, there's some videos out there that show like side by side. It is like night and day. It looks amazing. So if anybody out there's got an Xbox One, that's an apocalyptic game worth playing, no matter what console you have. But if you got the Xbox One, definitely worth playing on there. Picking that up because it's cheap. It's for the double pack, and it's been out for a while, so it's cheap. Well, relatively, it's not like full price anymore, but it's great. I've been like playing it like a junkie, playing through it again because I'm like, because I want to see what's different and what's new.
Cool.
Yeah, the creatures look better. It's like the textures, everything. It looks so good. So that's about my only post-apocalyptic news, and of course the shot glass bombs. That's about all I really got for this week here.
Mm-hmm. I got to tell you that I got nothing else. I got nothing new. The movies that I have taken a look at, nothing new's jumped up in the post-apocalyptic realm. I'm still working my way through Shattered, the Canadian collection. So I'll be done with that soon. And be able to give us a book report.
Yeah, I gotta get my ass reading that so we could review the damn thing, proper.
Yep. Now,
and actually, what's funny is because I may or may not be able to make it. I doubt I'm gonna be able to make it to Necronomicon because it's too hard with work, and then
it's next year, not this year, right?
It's 2000. No, it's in 2015.
But what year? What date in 2015?
Oh, it's like the third week in August again.
Okay, good. All right.
Now, mind you, Gen Con's a couple weeks earlier this time, but between that then have to go to that, and then the film festival in October. Dude, I can't pull all that off.
Well, you know, you can always. We're gonna have no trouble getting your product in front of people.
Oh, I know, but I want to go to the frickin' thing, you know. But I also want to go to the film festival because it's the 20-year anniversary, and it's just like I can't do everything. But what I was gonna say is Sylvia, you know, the editor,
Yes.
is on the guest list at Necronomicon.
What?
Yeah, she's on the guest list because I guess she's done some Lovecraft anthologies.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say what. I thought you said she isn't on the guest list. I was like, what? Because she has. She's edited a bunch of Lovecraftian stuff, including there's an open call out for something called She Walks in Shadows, which is a collection of Lovecraftian stories written by women about female protagonists. You get extra bonus points if you write it about a female who's mentioned by Lovecraft, because there's not many. If you can make it about that character, you win bonus points. But obviously, my genitals got in the way of applying for that job, or I would have jumped right on that bandwagon. But yeah, she's done a number of Lovecraft things. So yep, she is in the tribe. In the tribe.
So she'll be there. So she again crosses over like we do as well, you know. But so anyway, so like tonight like I said, we're going to talk about the cult classic Wizards. You know, as they call what do they call it? An epic. I can't remember what the actual title is. They call it. It's on the posters. They call it an.
An epic fantasy of peace and magic.
There you go. Thank you. Here's my copy right here, which I just rewatched. This is the. You know what? I think what's giving us a problem here. Let me. There you go. It's the Blu-ray edition, which just has like a little extra book, and it's got the Blu-ray. I got it cheap. You know, I got it when it was on sale. Does the Blu-ray make much of a difference if you already have the DVD? Probably not. But they did remaster pretty good, so it actually looks pretty good for, again, the low budget that it was for the 70s. So,
oh yeah, it's literally $1 million movie. Yep. That film was made for $1 million in '77.
Oh yeah, and there was many a time where he asked them for more money and they said no. But
hence the rotoscoping. I was always curious what the origins of the rotoscoping was for the combat scenes, using bits and pieces of Patton, Alexander Nevsky,
El Cid, Zulu.
Yeah, I always wanted to know what the source that was, and it was budget. It wasn't his choice. There's some scenes. Well, where do we start? Because I could just go into we could just jump into the technical stuff, but let's start at the beginning, I guess. What is the back? Do we really know what's the background for Wizards? I mean,
well, the background for Wizards is the premise of the story. Really, a lot of the underlying themes of the movie have to deal with his feelings of the rise in fascism in the 70s, the forming of the State of Israel, and the Holocaust. The propaganda and technology. That's a lot of the underlying themes that he had in that movie. It was really what a lot of it was about. You know how the overuse of technology and so forth. And he told it in the story wrapped in apparently 5 terrorists blew up a nuclear bomb, started a war that. All full-scale nuclear war, and it took 2 million years for the radiation clouds to dissipate to where people could start to settle the lands again. And then I think it was more millions of years after that, the elves and the fairy folk started to rise up, come out of their slumber because they were the ancient, people of Earth. They came back because man was dead. The only thing that was the only remnants of beings left from man were the mutants, the people he mutated. There's no true humans left.
Yeah, that was my impression, that the humanity was that the elves and the fairies are not humanity. They are the ancestors of humanity, and the things that are the mutants are the technological descendants of humanity. Humans plus radiation equals mutants.
Mutants. So so there's no true humans left, and it's a different age, and magic came back, and there's technology. So And people get into technical stuff like, well, after all those millions of years, there wouldn't be radioactive lands anymore, and blah blah blah. It's like, it's a fantasy world, okay, guys, get over it. It's a fantasy world, and also I've read stuff where they say, the physics of the world kind of shifted, and that would make sense, because if fairies and magic could come back, there's definitely a shift in the physics of the world. So maybe the radiation can last a little bit longer if there's magic in the world, okay?
Yeah.
So it's a many, 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 many millennium after mankind, after the nuclear war, post-Holocaust, where it's almost the world, it's kind of unrecognizable. It's more of a fantasy world, but there's technology, because there's the two protagonists, the two people in the story is Avatar and Black Wolf. They're brothers. They were born from a fairy queen, polar opposites. One was good, one was evil. And then after many decades, the mother died, or thousands of years, hundreds of years. They split up. He lived in the fairylands and did all the good, Avatar. And a lot of people say that he ripped off Avatar from Von Bode.
I think I really have a hard time imagining that you didn't. That he looks a lot like Cheech Wizard. He's got the hat with the star on it, and there's elements that are heavily Ballard from.
Oh yeah, there's definitely but it's not a complete copy, because Cheech Wizard is just basically you got a yellow hat with these two legs sticking out the bottom. That's it.
Yeah. And we don't know what Cheech Wizard sounds like, but clearly Avatar sounds like Peter Falk,
which was on purpose. So, so they split up. Black Wolf went to the land of Scorch, lived with the mutants, ruled them, started digging up and using technology. He's waged war on the elves, because he wants the land back. He wants to rule the world. He dug up technology, used technology, and then eventually he's, used a lot of technology, propaganda, film. He took this whole Nazi theme, going on. So that's a kind of an overview. That's an overview of the world.
The idea that the mutant army using, commanded by the black souls of dead generals of eons past. And by the way, Mike Plug, is that the guy's name who did a lot of the still illustrations?
I believe so. Yeah.
Mike Plug and Ian Miller. Miller does most of the Scorch.
The scenic background imagery.
Yeah, and he'd done a lot of work on Tolkien stuff before. There's a book called The Tolkien Bestiary that was out in the 70s that Ian Miller was one of the illustrators for. And he also illustrated a version of Ray Bradbury's Martian Chronicles, and he has this very nightmarish, very straight-angled, geometric, nasty style. That's reminds me a little bit of Giger, except where Giger is organic, everything in Miller is metal and dead, and it's all very straight lines and very straight turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see the Giger comparison, except there's a lot less penises in it.
There's that. Ian Miller stuff looks like everything in Giger is organic, right? Looks like guts or organs or whatever, and nothing in Miller is organic. Everything looks like it was forged and cut on a lathe, and it's very nasty, which is good for the lands of Scorch. It was the perfect illustrations. But the idea that this army could not, I was going to say that the General Souls looked a lot like Frazetta's Death Dealer. In fact, I want to say Avatar name drops Frazetta during a spell.
Yes, he does. There was because he like 3 names he dropped. It was like Frazetta and 2 other people.
I don't remember who the 2 others were, but I recognized Frazetta out of that. But they've got their dusted off tanks from 2 million years ago, and they're building new ones, and they have their technological war machine, and it's still not enough. The mutant army still can't accomplish anything. What they need is inspiration.
Oh yeah, because they get distracted easily, wander off. They're not motivated. Because
they find the best motivation for doing bad shit that maybe has ever been put together on the planet. I mean,
Nazis, Hitler.
If anyone, those guys knew about motivating people to do horrible shit. They really did.
They sure did. And
pretty flags, pretty uniforms,
Oh,
great music.
they look good. They cleaned up nice. You know, they
Yes.
sharp, you know,
Yeah,
sharp
they clean
dressing.
up nice.
That was part of their shtick, was the whole, the image and the uniforms, and because to make people want to join it. Look at this cool clothes I can wear. Because you got to say that, you know, besides them being Nazi scumfucks, they dressed well.
Yes, they did. And yeah, you're right. It is half the sales pitch. And same thing with the music and everything. And they use the Raise the Banner song, which is otherwise known as the Horst Wessel lead.
Yes, they did.
For when they start the projector that projects these 3D images of the Nuremberg rallies and German troops marching.
The propaganda films and scenes of war.
I gotta tell you, the thing that kind of shocked me more than, I don't know, it really got me more than, say, when they come into Black Wolf's lair and his throne is in the middle of that swastika on the floor. I mean,
oh yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
That was the sort of your first hint that you're like, oh, okay, And he says, as he goes past the men, he's all like, "His mutants, Sieg, Heils, hail victory,"
Yeah,
the one that got me was the curtain when he goes to address them, and he pulls the curtain and it's a Nazi flag and it parts, from stepping out on the balcony. That was good and creepy. The idea that there's this, he addresses the mutants as the new master race,
Well, I also don't think that necessarily. I mean, again, he was using it as an allegory, Botchke, but I don't think that the character necessarily believed but he believed in the power of it. He believed in the power.
Yes.
He believed in the power of what it could do for him.
Yes.
I don't think the character necessarily was a Nazi scumfuck. It's just like, well, it motivates people and it's war and hatred. That's a great idea. Let's do this. But did you also notice? When they're in that chamber, when he's like playing with the skulls, and
yes.
then Larry, the lizard, Master Larry has a, he's like when he's telling him, he's in a conversation, he's eating. There's like a pig or something or animal on a hook, and he's eating and eating and eating it. And did you notice that right when he went away, the meat turned on the hook, and there was a Jewish star tattooed on it? Did you notice that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So the Nazi imagery worked really well in this crazy far future of mutants and magic. It totally worked for me. It's and of course right there at the beginning, I guess one of the other things we got to mention, besides Avatar looking a bit like people making the comparison to Cheech Wizard from Von Bode, you got to make the comparison to Cobalt. Is it Cobalt 60? Is that the name of it?
Cobalt 60. Yep.
Yeah. There's definitely a comparison between Cobalt 60 and
Necron 99. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think it's unfair. They both have the hood with the eyes.
You only see the eyes sticking out. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's
like they're wearing a burqa or something, Yeah.
Or a balaclava, and they both have the weaponry are similar, but I don't think that but beyond that superficial look. There's no comparison between Cobalt 60 and Necron 99, Black Wolf's chief assassin, who then gets turned around and tries to free himself from Black Wolf.
Well, because he's a robot, but the thing is, in the world, I don't think. Now, mind you, part of this I'm taking from, and I guess they kind of, part of it I'm taking it from this, because we'll talk about this a little bit, because there was actually a role-playing game that came out based on this universe by Wit Publications in 1992. They're the ones who also did Mutazoids, which is another post-apocalyptic game back then. So I was reading through the book a little bit, and and some of it, again, they were extrapolating a lot in this about the weapons and the magic and how technology didn't necessarily. They were saying that technology didn't really work fully, but it was more like technomancy, like the magic, technology worked, but because of magic, it was like kind of a combination. And I guess
that certainly explains how the whole of Scorch 1 does the Fall of the House of Usher impersonation once the wizard who's holding it together dies, and does the whole Sauron, Mordor thing at the end.
Yeah, because I mean, they're saying this with Necron 99 because he created him. There was a link to him. There was a machine that kept him in touch, and then they broke the the link, but he was always trying to take over. And then like when spoiler alert, when he was stabbed by Princess Eleanor, that it was just a close, like there was nothing in there.
It was just an empty suit, yeah.
Empty suit. So I think that a lot of they alluded, they extrapolated a bit for the game, and they talked about how he was technology, but there was magic involved as well. I'm like, I could see that. I could see how they had to work in conjunction because technology was outlawed like millions of years ago. Like they talk about in the movie how the only natural technology is nature, and machinery and technology has been banned.
Except in the lands of Scorch.
And in the church, with the
the artifacts. Yeah, that was one of the more charming bits. Was the repeating characters who show up over and over again are these gas mask and military uniform wearing thugs that work for Black Wolf, and they bring us one of everyone's favorite sequences. They killed Fritz.
They killed Fritz, and that was Ralph Bakshi saying that, by the way.
Yes, that's what I understand. Is that Bakshi does a number of the voices.
Because he was actually saying that because that's supposed to be his kind of call out to Fritz the cat. Because apparently the guy who at some point somebody killed off Fritz the cat.
Robert Crumb, the illustrator, has Fritz the cat die.
Has him die. So that was his because he originally Ralph Bakshi did he did an animated version of Fritz the cat like in '72.
Yeah.
So he's familiar with the work, and then he killed him off. So that was his kind of statement about killing off Fritz the cat.
Yeah. Which is kind of hilarious, and he brings those guys, his stormtroopers, back for a number of vignettes, including a thing where they go to this church, and the church is sort of the everything we want to see in our 2 million years after the fall of civilization church. It's filled with like a Pepsi logo.
Jukebox,
car emblems and things, and and the big curtain
has CBS, the CBS logo on it.
Yeah, behind them. So that was sort of a nice touch. The idea that they have to go to the land of Scorch, much like going to the land of Mordor, and again it's heavily influenced by Tolkien. Go to the land of Mordor and destroy the ring. Well, go to the land of Scorch and destroy the motivation machine, the inspiration machine that fills the mutants with their destiny to kill.
Gives them their mojo, their drive.
Yeah. That's sort of the basic plot line behind it. While that's going on, Black Wolf and his mutant armies are blitzkrieging all the elf lands. And I got to tell you, I watched it again on YouTube, and I was wishing that I could pause it and read the names of the kingdoms, because there's that one shot of the map, showing the lands of Scorch and where all the other, countries are, and then there are these big, sort of like these arrows come out of Scorch, these black arrows, much like the illustrations that were used on the TV series The World at War. Every time they go, and then the Nazi forces marched into Belgium. And I always wanted to go, okay, what are the other countries? It was like East Elfland, and oh my God, that's the map. What's the island with the volcano?
Fire Island.
Oh, how boring. All right.
Yeah. Perhaps
the mystery was better. Now that I've learned it's just called. Wait a minute, Fire Island. Isn't that in Long Island? Isn't that the big gay tourist trap in Long Island?
It may be. Well, but apparently, because this map is supposed to look a little bit more like what's kind of Europe. So they say like Scorched 1. And Scorch is like kind of like where Baghdad was, There's East.
It looks more like Middle Earth to me.
Yeah, though they were saying that because they're trying to make the the forming of the state of Israel and the Holocaust. That's a lot of his theme behind East Elfland, the desert, the Western Highlands, and Montagar. That's about all there is on the map, and that's they took that from the.
I love how Montagar has a president and then a queen.
And a queen.
Yeah, that's one hell of a political system you kiddies got over there in
It is.
Montegar. There's a president, and then when he dies, his daughter inherits the position. It's
Yeah.
like, we
Well,
don't care. We're making a fantasy movie. We don't care if it makes sense.
oh yeah, and that was one of the things. Like Necron 99 for those of you familiar with, again, you saw on the front of that's the famous picture of him on the on his two-legged horse beast. And the reason why they made him two-legged was because it's easier to draw. So in animate.
Yeah, a lot of choices got made like that because again,
Budget.
yeah, I read that he went to 20th Century and said, "I need some more money for the
Nope.
big battles," and they're like, "Nope." And there's George Lucas in the same
Star
room.
Wars. They said no to him too, so it wasn't just him.
And speaking of Star Wars,
Mark Hamill did a voice in it. He actually tried originally for Weehawk, which was one of the main characters who went to Scorched with Avatar, Eleanor, and Peace. He was an elf. He was like a chief of one of the elven villages.
I got to point out one thing about the elves on this. I just want to just interrupt here. Are you familiar with Warp Graphics and Wendy and Ralph Peeney and their comic ElfQuest from the...
Yes.
Okay, it started off in 1978, year after this came out, right? The year after Wizards came out. And as far as I know, they're still doing ElfQuest today.
It's been on and off. It's been around.
Yeah, it has come back. It has been through Warp. It was their own company until 2003. It was done some in Marvel, done some for DC after 2003, and after a hiatus, apparently it's come back through Dark Horse has picked it up. But I always thought, we're talking about, there's the Von Bode connection to Wizards. I always thought that the elves in Wizards were an inspiration for Wendy and Ralph Peeney's elves in ElfQuest because they're not these Tolkien, tall, pretty, ethereal, immortal. They're like these. They're barbarians. They've got sort of clothes stitched out of leather and chainmail and horned helmets, and they look like Frank Frazetta barbarians.
Yeah.
Is what they look like. And that definitely carries over into Wendy and Ralph Peeney's work. And I considering that ElfQuest is the year after Wizards, I gotta wonder if that was an inspiration. I mean, I've never read anything that suggests that at all, but it always kind of looked like it.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. So yeah, he was originally he applied for Weehawk's voiceover work on Lucas's recommendation because I guess Ralph and Lucas were
they were tight.
They were buddies. So he recommended Hamill to come over there, and like he was filming Star Wars at the time. So like Lucas gave him time off to work for him, but he wound up just doing a small part, like when they go to the fairylands, because there's the fairy, because elves have their own area, fairies have their own area, and they're enemies. Like they don't get along very well. He was like the voice of the leader, one of the leaders of one of the elves.
Yeah, the younger elf who gets that giant hole blown to his chest by the bullet. Since he's only this tall, the bullet doesn't do him any favors. But yeah, he gets greased. I want to point out that Weehawk is voiced by an actor named Richard Romanus, who has been around for 1,000,000 years and has been done all kinds of stuff. But both he and the guy who did Peace both ended up on The Sopranos.
Really?
Yes, the guy who did the voice of Peace is an actor named David Proval. And I didn't expect it. The voice sounded a lot like the guy who did Carlton, Your Doorman on Rhoda, but this kind of very. But it's Proval. Did you ever watch The Sopranos?
No.
Okay. He was a guy who at one point married. He was this old time gangster who'd been in prison, who gets out and is not real good about adapting to current conditions. But he was really good and scary. But he's played a lot of goofy gangsters over the years. Like he's one of the gangsters trying to beat up Weird Al Yankovic in UHF. He's one
Oh,
of the
really? Okay.
he's one of the gangsters opposing what's it called? The Phantom. You know, where Billy Zane's playing the Phantom, one of the gangsters who's a minion of Treat Williams. Is that guy, and he's played kind of light, you know, he did a lot of comedy gangster roles over the years, but then he played a really serious one. He played a really serious one in The Sopranos, and it was super fucking scary. But yeah, he's another guy and has been on all kinds of everything. Eleanor turns out to be an actress I've only seen a couple times in Rockford Files episodes. She had like 3 different roles in the Rockford Files.
Well, then
Very distinctive voice.
and then there's the narrator,
Yeah.
Susan Tyrell, who went uncredited on her request. She did not want to be associated with it because she thought it would hurt her career. But then people found out she did the narration on that, and she got a lot of work from that. And then years later, she went back to him and said, "Listen, I wound up getting a lot of work because of my work in Wizards, and I regret not having you put my name in the credits."
Yeah, and she has a great voice for it. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just maybe it really worked for me. That sort of breathy, sad voice that she had was really excellent.
Yeah, there's this there was almost like I say like a fantasy quality about it, but it fit perfect.
It's ethereal, and it was sort of sad, and it had sort of a quality of tragedy to it, and discussing the world that had been destroyed and was gone. She did a great job, and because of budget concerns, a lot of the Film Wizards is still shots of paintings with some voiceover. Every time they do a backflash and go back to describing how we got to be in the situation, what's the origin of the mutants, what's the origin of Black Wolf, they would stop animating and they'd go to these still pictures with a voiceover. And so the only thing that kept that shit from being boring was her voice.
Yeah, she kept you, because you're like, okay, I could listen to this, Well, again, it was a lot of budget. Like I said, that's where all the rotoscoping came in. So they did, because they didn't have the budget, so they did rotoscoping of like just stock things from like Zulu, El Cid, all these movies. But they would do the rotoscoping over, just make them big, blotchy, shadowy figures. But then they would like also draw like horns on some of them, or wings,
glowing eyes,
to try to make them seem like more than they are.
Yeah.
I mean, so looking back at it and watching again, it really, I haven't watched it in a while. It really is kind of crappy. I mean, it's not the best, out there. But
it shows its budget. How about that?
It definitely shows exactly. If he had a bigger budget, it would have been different. But what's funny is, like, I was watching it last night on the TV, and my wife, Nancy, was watching it too, or she was trying to, and she's just like, "This is the stupidest movie I've ever seen."
That will not be the last time she says that.
Yeah, it's not the
presence. Okay?
It ain't the first, and it ain't going to be the last.
Well, they can't all be the Rover.
Oh yeah, no. So, again, some things she likes, but some things she's just like, "This is the stupidest movie I've ever seen." And I'm like,
it gets slow, when there's some pacing problems in it during the rotoscope, especially. They show that shit way too long.
Oh yeah, well, he's trying to fill in some space, and but part of the rotoscoping and the propaganda, if we go back to that, part of it was a little kind of, well. The reason they go to war again is because Black Wolf is
wrong game company. All right.
Wrong game company is trying to conquer the world, and he's had 2 major battles with the forces of the elves and the fairies, and he's failed, like we said, because his troops are unmotivated, they wander off. So when they're attacking again, he has them motivated with the before he attacks them, he sends out his assassins like Necro 99 to assassinate all the world leaders, because he wants to demotivate the people, get them confused, get them thinking that, oh well, like the only people, like, it's like you had like the leaders, and then they're like, well, the people who are going to be in charge after them are second-rate boobs, and they're going to fight amongst themselves. Like, wow, those are pretty flimsy governments. If like only L leader is the highest person, and the next person down's like way down there. They're like they're
I'm
gonna.
not too sure that we're in Wizards we're not exactly protecting democracy from totalitarianism. We're just protecting benevolent totalitarianism from less than benevolent
Yeah.
totalitarianism.
So
This is not a battle for a constitutional government of
no.
rights. It's kings and queens. I'm sure they won't fuck us. They'll be fine.
They'll be fine. So they're like saying how by killing them off they'll wind up
Infighting.
and this and that. But the thing is like because they'll think it was their neighbors who did it, and I'm like, now they mentioned this in the game book, and it kind of makes sense. Is like, why they must really be stupid if they think that, because they were all assassinated by people with guns, and who's the only person who uses guns in this world? Is fucking Black Wolf and his fucking army.
Well, we never said they were particularly bright. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the president. Why is he wearing a clown mask? I think I'd have shot him because he's wearing a. It's like, Clancy, you killed the president. I killed a clown.
I killed a clown. I don't know who he was.
I don't know who you think I killed, but I killed a clown. All right, coming right at me. So
they assassinated everybody, went to war, and part of his thing to win was showing the propaganda. So, but apparently this movie projector can project from Scorch all the way to the front. So besides it motivating his troops, it mesmerizes the elves because they're all just standing there looking like, what is all this? Because apparently it's filling the skies with Nazis marching and tanks and explosions, and they all of a sudden they're so mesmerized they can't move, so then his troops just roll over him. That's how he's winning the war now. So that's why they have to destroy the machine.
Yes, which again they don't have to carry to the front. I thought that was awesome that they didn't have to carry it to the front.
Oh yeah, no, it's like damn. How do I get a movie projector like that?
Yeah, exactly. Clearly the apocalypse wasn't last week. Well, again, it's that what was a technomancy. It's like nanites, except it's 1977. So
yeah.
Technology plus magic equals projector that projects onto the sky.
Exactly. Go all the way down.
Hundreds of miles away, whatever.
But overall, again, that's the basic premise, and we've given away a lot of spoilers, but there's some spoilers we're not going to give away. Like we're not going to, because eventually it's a battle between two wizards, two brothers, two opposing forces, and of course, it does come to a head, obviously, and we won't.
Showdown.
We will not discuss the showdown because.
Oh, I wish.
Nah, I think we got to.
1977. It's.
I don't want to spoil that. Let's leave that one little nugget.
You're right. There are some payoffs. All right. If you've suffered through this movie and you're bored to tears, you should get a payoff, and the payoff is.
The showdown.
The showdown. One of the most role-playing game player character moments in movies where, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that. We're not gonna spoil that one little nugget. You gotta watch it to see it. It's got some classic lines in it. So.
Yeah, and overall the writing was pretty good. Overall the dialogue was pretty good. The voice acting was fine.
I think the voice acting was very good throughout the entire movie. All the main characters, the narration. He did a very good job with that.
What's funny? One of the things that's funny to me is that part of this project, according to from what I've read, was Bakshi was trying to show that he could do a mainstream
family film.
Yeah, unlike
Fritz the Cat.
Fritz the Cat, or what was it like? Something Streets, like not Mean Streets. That's a Scorsese film. But he had done a lot of these sort of weirdly gritty,
racy,
if not racist, films showing like inner city.
Coonskin.
Oh, Coonskin, yeah.
Oh, that movie! I've never seen it, but just the little snippets I've seen and read about that movie's so fucking racist, dude.
Yeah, it really, and I agree. And so he was trying to prove that he could do. Something that was, and as far as racist go, it's like Coonskin's like a blaxploitation 70s blaxploitation version of Song of the South, except set in like Harlem or something.
Yeah.
But he wanted to prove he could do mainstream. And despite saying I can do despite that, there sure are a lot of cartoon nipples in this in this movie. It's like I can do mainstream with nipples. I mean, he couldn't quite.
Heavy Traffic is, I think, the other one you were thinking of.
Heavy Traffic. Yes, you're right. Heavy Traffic. That's absolutely the one I was trying to remember. So Eleanor is super comic book sexed up, and there's just tons of little naked elves all over the place.
Yeah, Eleanor's got some. She's got some radio dials on her. Let me tell you, you know.
Yeah, definitely a Frazetta. You know, she's standard Frazetta girl, right to and including the point where, not skinny. You know, definitely something with a little meat on her, like a Frazetta.
Yeah.
Girl.
And also about Wizards, because again, we were saying how it's a cult classic, how, well, it's got a big following, science fiction, the geek, nerd, dork, whatever. But apparently, now I posted, I took a picture of this and posted on the Twitter account. Oh my God, about a year and a half ago. I posted a link on the event page to that Twitter picture. Best Buy had a display in the store, and it said, "Take home the sci-fi must-haves Blu-ray titles today." And on that display, there was 5 movies, and they were all in the little display unit, and Wizards was listed there. Best Buy said that Wizards is a take-home sci-fi must-have.
Well, if we can't trust Best Buy, who can we trust? I mean,
exactly.
So what was I just out of curiosity, do you remember what the other films were that might have been?
What?
In the display.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
The newer one, Avatar.
What? Oh, Avatar. What?
Avatar.
Okay. Haha, fuck you, James Cameron. Bakshi's film cost 1/300th of yours.
Yeah. The Terminator.
Good call.
And in the picture, I can't see what the other one is all the way on the other side. I don't know. I can't see which one it was, but there's some kind of planets. I can't see the picture in the picture because the picture doesn't have the full thing.
Okay.
But Terminator was on there, Avatar, and Wizards. Wizards was cost $1.2 million. Avatar, which cost a gazillion dollars.
It's like $300 million, isn't it? It's something insane.
It's something gross. It's just it's like, really, you spent how much money on a film that was crap? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I've watched Wizards more than one time, and I've never watched Avatar because
I watched it once because everybody say you have to watch this, you have to watch this, you have to. I watched it and I'm like, oh great, it's Fern Gully, awesome. With updated graphics.
Speaking of you know what? I did watch one film. It's not really a post-apocalyptic film. It has some elements of the apocalypse in it, or post-apocalyptic sort of things. But it was Edge of Tomorrow, which they're desperately trying to pretend is called Live, Die, Repeat. But I finally threw that in with Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
It didn't suck. I mean, I enjoyed seeing Tom Cruise die over and over again. That was fun.
Oh well, who wouldn't?
Yeah. And I'm sure I can, if I wanted to really think about it, I can start poking holes in their time travel reset thing. But it still works.
The time travel reset thing worked until the very end, because then it got all muddled.
Yeah, muddled.
Like, how? Okay, I've seen enough time travel shit to kind of be able to suspend disbelief to make it work. It didn't work for me. Anyway, that's for another topic. But
yeah, if they yes, we'll gripe about that at a later date. But a lot of the film was really good. Most of it.
Yeah,
95% of it was good.
Yeah, we rented it. wasn't bad. It was. I was like, okay, this is fairly decent. But anyway, so Wizards was on there. I just wanted to point that it was on a sci-fi must-have. Like I said, I did post that picture on the link to the picture for the Twitter account.
One of the other connections to Star Wars that apparently Lucas asked Bakshi if he could change.
The name, yeah, because the name was originally supposed to be War Wizards.
Yeah. So there you go. There's two weird connections. They both came out of 20th Century Fox at almost the same time. And I want to say I want to say that as a kid I saw Wizards first. I'm not sure of the exact release date, but I always sort of remember that I saw Wizards first before I saw Star Wars. And yeah, you know, at age 11 or whatever, I very quickly blanked out everything I'd seen in my life before Star Wars once that movie came out.
Well, and Wizards was rated PG, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there's some cursing,
but it was still PG.
Yeah, and there's some decent gore.
But this was before PG-13. So
yeah, we have what? Is it Temple of Doom to thank for PG-13?
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we don't have to thank Temple of Doom for anything because that movie. But
we do have Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull to thank for making Temple of Doom look good.
Yeah, Temple of Doom, Crystal Skull makes Temple of Doom like, you know, I used to have this Jaws analogy, but I don't remember how it worked anymore. It was like
Jaws analogy.
Yeah, it was. I'd seen it somewhere. They were talking about something that was bad. It's like this film made Jaws 5 look like Jaws 2, or it was something weird like that. I can't remember, I can't remember what it was.
Oh, that is ow. Yeah.
It was something weird like that. But also related to Wizards was back at the beginning of the year, he was doing this thing where he did this limited edition Necron 99 statue.
Oh, yeah, how'd that turn out? Did you pick up one of those?
No, dude, it was too expensive. It was like it was limited to 15. He was selling them on his eBay store. They were all hand done, all hand cast. It was a big figure too. It was like a foot tall or something. They were like $375. I really debated this. I'm like, do I want to spend this money? Do I not want to spend this money? It was a hard decision, but I had to say no because I'm like, it's too much money. And he said that later on in the year they were going to do a more economical size version for like about $100 to $150. I did some searching on his site and everything. I haven't seen anything about it yet.
That's too bad.
Because I would love to buy a Necron 99 statue. You know.
Well, you know, I'm such a terrible miniatures nerd. If you can look over my shoulder, you can see my desk that I paint my minis on. And one of the things that I ran across recently is like there's a company out of England called the Foundry that does all these Judge Dredd miniatures. So you can
yes.
You can have you're Sove Judge and Judge Death and Judge, you know.
Did you pick some of those up?
I have not. I considered for a Christmas present getting you some Judge Dredd miniatures and painting them and sending them to you in a display case because we just did that for some Lebowski miniatures, Jane and I. But the thing I would pay money for a Necron 99 mini. Holy crap! There was a
apparently there's a model kit that was out there for a while that people have. I said I'm gonna like post on his page or something. It's like, so what happened to the smaller, cheaper versions of this more mass-produced versions of the statues? Because if it's like $100 to $150, as long as it wasn't like 2 inches tall, I would pick one up for sure. You know.
It does kind of blow my mind that Necron 99 is so iconic.
He is. Well, he's on the freaking poster.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, exactly. And it sort of I am kind of, you know, and just I don't know, that image from the poster has always really never failed to work. You know.
Oh, it's so classic. I love it. It's very, again, a lot of that says, you know. Like I look at that and I could say Gamma World by looking at that. You know, I could look at this and go, yep, Gamma World, some kind of robot creature on some kind of mutant horse with a gun.
I will point out, sir, that over on DeviantArt, somebody has made a Necron 99 custom action figure.
Oh, nice.
So with joints and, you know.
I think I've seen that. It looks like it's the chest. It looks like it's probably an old Rocketeer figure or something, right?
No, not this one. I have seen some that looks like people have done them where it looks like maybe they were modding an old World War II action figure. But the one that I'm seeing on DeviantArt really looks like it's the that it's
G.I. Joe. I don't know.
Well, that somebody has built it themselves from scratch.
Okay.
You know, it's not as attractive, it's not as interesting as attractive as the Necron 99 full-size figure mounted on its steed. You know, but it's still pretty good.
So, but also, like I said, they came out with a role-playing game for it. I flipped through it a little bit. Again, they've extrapolated a lot to create the whole mythology. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the thing. You know, they had to create a mythos for it. You know.
Yeah. Geeks want to know.
You know, and you know, the cover art is pretty good, but once you get to unfortunately, when you get to the interior art, ooh, a lot of it's bad. It's like bad, like even worse than some of the bad D&D art you had. I mean, mind you, I can't draw more than stick figures, but I mean, a lot of the art is stuff like that.
Okay, I can see it from here, and yeah, it's no, that's not good.
A lot of it's like that. It's just horrible. It's bad artwork. It's like I'd rather have nothing. And it, you know, some of it gets a little better, but overall, it's just horrible artwork. You know, it's skill systems and charts.
More budgetary problems.
Yeah, more budgetary. They spent all the money on the cover, you know. So I mean, it goes into the different character types that you had, and it seems like the universe takes place before the big battle because Scorch is still there, Black Wolf. So it seems to be like, you know, pre-Giant War, you know. But all the characters are there. The main characters, you know, it has Avatar and Eleanor and the types of classes, you know, there's no, like I said, there's no humans in there. There's just elves and gnomes and things like that.
Sorry.
Okay.
Apparently, I was being called by a charity.
Okay. Well, fuck them. So
yeah, they don't need it.
Yeah. So it goes into the basic, you know, the world of the game, and it basically pulls heavily from that. Then they had a couple source books out, one for Montagar and one for, you know, Montagar. One, you know, there's a more even more comical version of.
Yeah, Avatar's looking a little butch in that one.
Looks a little Disney in there, but yeah. And then Scorch. So they have, you know, they have source books for the two lands. I mean, they did, you know, a lot of stuff. You know, there's they also had a big packet of character sheets and a game master screen with an adventure in there, like a lot of the early gaming companies did. The game master screens with adventures in them. Mm-hmm. So there, you know, an introductory adventure in there, so get you started. So I mean, anyway, they came out with it in 1992. So they also did Mutazoids. So again, it must have been popular enough if they you know, created a game based on it, and you know, Ralph even got his blessing. He's like, oh, they did a great job with it, you know, you know, posted in here somewhere. So
he gives his blurb, his appropriate blurb for the cover.
Yep.
As opposed to the one that says, "Bastards, you screwed it all up." You're not supposed to do that. And if you do think that about your product based on your work, the people doing the new product probably shouldn't put that on the cover.
No. So it's you know, I said it was popular enough to create a game based on it. I think you can still track it down. I got it off of eBay. It's around in I am so out of focus. It's around on it's around different places. You can find it. There was even some supplementary material that came out that was like in an old Different Worlds magazine or something. You know, so people actually put some other content out for it at one point. So.
Yeah. It's one of these things that, you know, even though it's even cheaper and crappier than, you know, plenty of things out there. Wizards always gets sort of a pass on one level, in that, okay, it may not be completely original, although honestly, Nazis and post-apocalyptic mutant Nazis, demons from hell with wizards is relatively original. It still gets points for that. They did a good job. It's just a film that does a great job recycling some tropes in a way that comes off and is not tiresome, I guess. Yeah. And certainly it's one of those things where people went later, and it itself has been ripped off over the years.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, it's another survivor from our childhood.
Oh yeah, I mean, I probably didn't first see it until I probably didn't first see it until maybe the early '80s.
Okay.
Myself. So
I am sure I saw it in the theaters. I'm positive that I did. At the Interstate 6 Theater, right next to 436 and Interstate 4.
yeah, because you would have been what in '77,
77, I would have been 11 years old.
11. So
Which apparently was old enough to go to be sent to the movie theaters with a pocket full of dollars and
well, I mean, you were also probably a giant at 11 too, so they probably
it's like, don't get killed, come back for dinner. That was, we'll come back and get you, whenever. And the Interstate Theater, the thing that I always remember about the most about it was that there's 6 theaters. It was in this crappy shopping mall, and sure enough, across right next to it was a giant video game parlor, arcade. It was at a giant video game arcade, so the parents could drop us off there with $10 in the quarters, and we could depending on our skill levels, we could waste the afternoon. If you want
that was a proper there was one of those out where I lived in Coral Springs. It was it was this old dead mall. Well, it became a dead mall, but there was a Lowe's movie theater there that we'd go to, and there was an arcade right next to it. So I was like, go play in the arcade game. Hey, let's go get our movie ticket, see the movie, and afterwards, is the arcade still good? Let's go play some more video games. That's.
Yep, that was a Saturday afternoon, kids. If you're wondering how Grandpa and Grandma spent their time,
We used to be
pocket full of jingling quarters going back and forth from the Lowe's Cinema. I think that's the same theater that I saw Message from Space, which we're not doing bad Japanese Star Wars ripoff reviews, but somebody should, because Message from Space is one of the great bad movies of all time. And I mean, it is out in the theaters 15 minutes after Star Wars. You know what I mean? It's like it's only out the door a few minutes before, bam! Message from Space shows up immediately, and is terrible and is like a Toho sort of Godzilla studio science fiction epic. I haven't seen it in years. Part of me wants to go back and look just to see how terrible it was. I remember even as a kid, 11 years old.
You don't want to do that, I'm sure. It's.
I don't have a hard enough time tracking down movies that are good. I only just got around to seeing Guardians of the Galaxy last night.
I still haven't seen that, so.
It looks good, but boy, it feels like it needed a big screen. It feels like maybe I should have seen it on the big screen, because there's a lot of crap going on. There's sometimes a lot of stuff going on in the edges of the screen that maybe I would have gotten a better read on if I could have read what it said, things like that. Altogether, I'll give Guardians of the Galaxy the thumbs up. I enjoyed it. I don't think I would have felt ripped off if I saw it on a big screen.
Oh, well, that's something to be said. But anyway, so Wizards. So that's Wizards for you, folks. Cult classic, vaguely post-apocalyptic because the apocalypse happened millions of years before. This is the world that's after, a little bit of magic. And like how I said, I ranted about last show, I don't like magic and, magical apocalypses. Well, this is a magical apocalypse. There's a magic after the apocalypse. But again, it's a cult classic. There's definitely an apocalypse because, the ancient society, the technology, the battle between good and evil, technology and magic and nature and
mutants.
So it's, I said, it's a decent film. I've gone back to it many times myself because again, it's one of those classics that you just kind of always watch. You don't watch it that often. Like no. I just saw it again. I probably won't watch it again for quite some time. But you always come back to it. I
gotta throw this out. I just remembered about the casting. Bill Holt, who played Avatar, is a guy who's done a million voice acting things over the years, a lot of animation. He turns up in, I think he's the star-bellied Sneetches, but he's the Lorax. The guy who played Avatar is the Lorax in the Dr. Seuss animated show from the TV, not the one that was done for the movie, but he's the Lorax. And which is odd because the Lorax looks a little bit like Avatar, including the mustache. But the other animated thing I wanted to point out is Richard Romanos is Harry Canyon in the Heavy Metal movie.
Oh, nice.
He's the cab driver from that story. So just figured I want to throw those two out because just about everybody who did this film got work. I mean, there's a lot of people. I would never have guessed Proval and Richard Romanos at all as being in this film from their voices, but there they are.
So it gets a thumbs up from both of us. It's definitely good. You know, if you've never seen it before, it's worth a look. Again, if you're half our age and you're going to see this movie and you're going to go, oh, the animation's terrible. You know, it's like, why isn't it like Ghost in the Shell or I don't know, whatever. You know, why isn't it like Cowboy Bebop or Dragon Ball Z or whatever this new shit? Because it was a different fucking era, dude. It was before animation was good. You know.
Yeah. It's a film that I wouldn't mind seeing remade. If somebody came back at Wizards with a bigger budget, and I'd be willing to see what they could do with it.
Well, originally it was supposed to. He mentioned it was supposed to be a trilogy.
What do you do after What do you do after you blow up Scorch 1? What do you do for an encore?
I don't know. His evil powers transferred to his. Never mind. But apparently there was supposedly a comic book that came out, Wizards 2, that was supposedly continues the story because he's like, apparently Paramount's or somebody's been sitting on the next Wizards film and nobody's ever greenlit it. And it's like, well, but why? Anyway, so apparently it's supposed to be a trilogy, so there could be another one out there one day. Who knows? But anyway, worth a see. Again, just go in again with a grain of salt, knowing that again, it's not modern day standard animation. It was the early day. Now, mind you, I mean, yeah, you could say, look at things like the old Tom and Jerry's and Disney. It's like, but again, those are done with a lot of budgets and a lot of money.
Yeah, it's all cell animation, but they had the money. They spent money on those.
Yeah, and he didn't have a budget, so he did a great job with what he had. Absolutely, it's definitely a certain style. Again, I'm just warning any of these young generation people might go in and see it, might think that it's a total piece of crap because all they've been exposed to the last the 10 years that they've been on this earth was to a different standard of stuff. Yeah. Again, it's a 70s movie, very 70s. The music is very 70s.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right from the beginning, and I got to tell you, I think the soundtrack's pretty good.
Oh, that's not bad. I'm just saying it's very 70s, So just be aware of that going into it if you have not seen it. Again, remember you're going back and watching a film that's almost 30 years old, So there you go.
What do you mean almost? 77 means it's almost 37 years old. It's almost 40 years old.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because they had the 30. Yeah, because this is the 35th. This is 2012. This is the 35-year edition. Yeah, you're right. Never mind. So yeah, so we're going back 37 years. So.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Definitely time. Yeah. What does that mean? That means we are old.
Yes. Well, we've well established that.
Yes. So. Let me show you my gout.
Time and time again, we've proven how much of crotchety old grognards we are. So anyway,
yeah. We're actually going to have to spend some time and some money pulling out a few more recent post-apocalyptic. We'll always see the new post-apocalyptic movie, and we'll always see the new post-apocalyptic TV show, but we should probably pull out a couple of books.
We haven't done books in a while, so
we should probably try and after Shattered, we should probably take a crack at some other new post-apocalyptic series. I mean, if they turn out to be, because I fear that they will turn out to be somewhere between the survivalist and Blank in the Ashes, but we have to continue to expand our repertoire.
Yeah.
We must stay relevant, sir. We must stay relevant.
Yes, as relevant as we can be. So there you go, folks. Next show, we're going to keep back on track for every 2 weeks. Again, it was a little, wanky during the holidays. What we're going to do yet, don't know. Me and Scott will talk about it offline. We'll make a decision on what we're going to do. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. And again, that was Wizards. Again, thumbs up, check it out. And is that a kitty?
That is the kitty. She's been trapped in here the whole time.
Hello, kitty cat. That is a cat of the apocalypse right there, folks.
This right here, yes. This cat here will definitely this is my furry overlord. Yep.
Scott's Lord and Master.
Yep.
So anyway, folks, that's it for us this week. As usual, thank you all for joining us, and remember to watch it on YouTube. And if you watch it on YouTube, remember to like it, and remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, YouTube/podcast at Ground Zero. All right, folks.
Please do.
Please do subscribe and like. So this is the Apocalypse Nerd and Adam Bomb Glancy from Podcast at Ground Zero saying good night.
Sophie says good night too.
Meow.